Hey guys, I'm so glad that you're joining us here today. We're going to go over our memory verse that we've been learning. Remember, we're starting this new series about Joseph, and we're talking about trusting in God. So everyone stand up and let's do our memory verse together. Are you ready? Our memory verse is Proverbs 3:5. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. You guys make sure you're standing up and say it really loud so I can hear you, okay? Here we go. Proverbs 3:5. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding.
Stories of the Bible. Joseph forgives. This is Joseph,
Hey!
who was the son of Israel and Rachel. But he had 11 brothers who hated him and sold him into slavery. After being put in jail, Joseph told of the future of Egypt when he interpreted Pharaoh's dreams, and Joseph found favor with the Pharaoh. The Pharaoh made Joseph a leader in his kingdom. Just as Joseph had told the Pharaoh, Egypt had 7 years of abundance. Then the 7 years of abundance came to an end, and the 7 years of famine began, just as Joseph had said. But the Egyptians had food to eat because Joseph had planned for the famine. There was famine in all the other lands, and many came to Joseph to buy food. There was even a famine in the land that Joseph came from. So when Israel heard that there was grain in Egypt, he sent his sons to buy some. But Israel did not send Benjamin with the others because he was afraid that harm might come to him. When Joseph's brothers came to him, Joseph recognized them, but he pretended to be a stranger.
Aha!
So Joseph decided to test his brothers. He had his interpreter tell them to send for Benjamin, who had stayed home.
Him.
And then he threw his brothers in jail for 3 days. On the 3rd day, Joseph let all but one of the brothers take grain to their starving households with the instruction to bring Benjamin back. But Joseph provided for his brothers' journey and gave them grain and silver. The brothers did exactly as Joseph instructed, as they were scared that God was punishing them for what they had done to Joseph so many years before. They traveled home to their father's house, then back to Egypt. Now that he had seen that they brought Benjamin, Joseph was overwhelmed, so he released the brother who was still in prison. But Joseph decided to play one more trick on his brothers. He sent the brothers away but told his servant to hide his silver cup in Benjamin's bag. Then Joseph told the servant to go after the brothers and retrieve the cup. The brothers hadn't traveled far before the servant stopped them and accused them of stealing the cup. Joseph could no longer control himself before his attendants. He made them leave so he could be alone with his brothers, and he told his brothers who he really was.
Ta-da!
He told them of his life and all he had experienced, and he forgave them for what they had done. God was with Joseph and took care of him and showed him favor.
Hey guys, we have learned so many great lessons from the life of Joseph. We have learned how he learned how to trust in God, how he believed that God had a plan for his life. We learned how important it is not to worry, that even though things may not be going the way they think they should, that we can trust in God. And that is so many great lessons. And this last week, we've learned the importance of forgiveness. Joseph learned how important it is to forgive in order to see God's plan work out for your life. And you know what? That reminds me a little bit about this coloring book. This is a really special coloring book, and it reminds me of what our life is like without God. You know what? When we don't have God in our life is like an empty book. There's just blank pages. We don't really know what God has for us because we don't even know God. But then one day we ask Jesus to come into our life. And when we ask Jesus to come be a part of our life, suddenly we start seeing. We start seeing God's plan. We start seeing that He does have a plan for our life, that we were created for a purpose. But you know what? The next most important thing that we have to do, which Joseph did, was we had to trust. We had to have faith in God, faith that God's plan was always the best plan for our life. And even though things didn't seem like they were going that way, that if we kept believing and we kept trusting and we didn't worry, that we would see God's plan come into our life just like Joseph did. And when we do that, then we see all of God's plans come to pass in our life. So guys, we need to think about the life of Joseph and remember how important it is to trust in God no matter what, and to recognize that God's plan for our life is great. You guys have a great week.